Welcome to another Brand Decoded show. Tonight, I want to say that there are no conspiracy theories. As I was growing up, I was observing a lot of these, but I want to debunk one notion that there is no individual group that is controlling everything. And the reason why we tend to believe in this is because it's relieving us of the responsibility for the things that are going around. So the belief in a conspiracy is a disempowering belief that's leading us towards relinquishment of the responsibility for things that are going on in the world. Now, I'm not going to say that there are not nefarious things going on, but this notion that there is a singular group of people that is running everything is not true. And something more realistic would be a conglomerate of different factions that are controlling portion of things and that perhaps are working together. But we haven't came to this point in human civilization where there is 8 billion people on this planet without majority of these people having some form of representation of their needs, their wants, their voice. And this has led me to believe about the ways that systems have formed and how they've evolved over time. And it's very conjectured. It is very conjectured with history. So if you're observing the evolution of the countries, of the government entities, of the bodies, of the church, of all man-made communities, they are power structures who have a vested interest in shaping you in the image of what the society as a whole needs. And that is somewhat conspiratorial, but it is also necessary for society to function. Unfortunately, with the rapid advancement of technology, we are at a precipice of a whole new age. And we are advancing as a human society to the higher highs. And with these, some of the societal norms are changing. As a result, people are clinging to the old power structures while we're entering in the whole new era of human civilization. And instead of being worried, I start to see progress everywhere. And instead of thinking negatively, I choose to think positively. Because even if I'm wrong, positive thinking is leading to positive outcomes. But the power structures of society, they're representing various different factions of our collective. And these power structures are shaping your very identity. And in doing so, in shaping your very own identity, they are molding the software that runs your mind. They're molding it for the need of the group and not for your individualized needs. The education system financed by your tax dollars is ensuring that you think about things in a very specific way. And oftentimes this way is not the most productive thing that you can do for yourself. And in order to reach the next level of your personal development, you need to rewrite the software that runs in your own mind. And that, my friends, is something that many people have tried. Some of them have succeeded. And it's a long and tedious process, and many people will resist even if they attempt to do it by themselves. And it's painful. Rewriting the way your mind works does not come without suffering, but the rewards are plenty. The abundance that is coming as a way of rewiring your thought process and your belief system is intense. It requires you to master all your skills and connect the dots of who you want to become in order to bridge the gap where you don't know to the place where you do know and you live the life of your dreams. However, in order to get there, we need to identify the 5 most common identity types that are preventing us from becoming the person that is capable of achieving its own full potential. And I'll start talking about some of these identities. There is an identity of a student. Is one of your first identities that is assigned to you. And the way that this identity is passed on to you is shaping your entire future as you're going through the school system. Schools are teaching you that you don't know everything that needs to be known, and they're exploiting your knowledge gap. And in doing so, they are saying that they're educating you, but the education process is coming from the position of lack, of the school system telling you that you're not enough to participate in the society and that you have to learn things that they are going to teach you so that you can assimilate in the society in their own image. But who decides what is the image that's being pushed on to the children that are going to the school? Who decides that? When we start deconstructing these thoughts and we start questioning everything that's happening around us, we can see that this system oftentimes is prioritizing a greater good over the good of the individual. And we have to find our own way to defend ourselves from the identity of a student that comes from the position of lack, so that you can come into a position of wholeness. And you need to unlearn that first damaging identity, toxic identity, I might say, because the curriculum at schools with the fake news and fake history, etc., that is being placed by the top bidders that are controlling what gets to be said in the school books, what the teachers are going to say to the students. All of these things are being perpetuated on a young mind in its formative years to shape the worldview that might not necessarily be true. And if you didn't question it, how will you know that it's really true? But it's not about whether it's true or not. It is whether it's pragmatic for your own well-being, which is a more important question for me. Whether do I really approve of this information entering into my mind, and what kind of consequences and ramifications does this information inside of my mind hold for my future? That is a very important question that I'm asking, and how I will observe should I decide to send my children to school. The second identity would be your national identity. It is a part of your nation. So in the Western countries, like the European Union and United States of America, Canada, New Zealand, UK, you name it, the national identity has dissipated. It has been weakened in order to propagate a new form of toxic identity, which is a consumer identity, so that you are not a slave to the state, but you are the slave to the corporate, as a buyer, as a consumer, as a wage slave. Those are the identities that are being presented to you. And these identities have certain coding elements. They're integrating the source code inside of your mind, where you're thinking in a certain way as to what is possible, how it is possible to think about wealth in and of itself, how this software that's being installed inside of your mind is being programmed in such a way where you can justify the lack, so that you can settle for less resources, for less consumption, for less time for yourself, so that you can willingly give away your own most precious possession, which is your own time and energy and well-being, to someone else. All of these things are not a conspiracy. They're not organized in a centralized way. They are a consequence of various different interests coordinating itself in one spot. That is our eternal present moment, where all of these energies of different people, different groups of people, pass through legislation, pass through media, multimedia, pass through the content, pass through the spoken word. All of these elements are forming our collective reality. And the collective reality is not a conspiracy. It's a culmination of various different energies that are sometimes competing, sometimes struggling to find the common language. Sometimes these ideas in our minds are taking us to wars where we are attacking each other, harming each other based on the content of our mind. And seeing these identities of a student, a national identity, identity of a consumer, and there's like a especially specific identity that is toxic one, which is your work identity or professional identity, where you're identifying with a certain set of activities that are defining you as a person. I will be free to utilize in this instance one very important quote from one of my very dear movies, Fight Club. You're not the car you drive. You're not the content of your wallet. You're not your fucking khakis. That is stripping down all power structures away from your mind so you can see within yourself who you truly are. That is the power of your own identity. You realizing your own power in the world. And unwiring, unlearning things that are almost behaving like a throttle of your CPU. Imagine if you have one of the most powerful computers inside of your head, your mind. It's beautiful. It can do things on autopilot that you are not capable of understanding because it is capped. Like your mind is capped. It's wired to hold you down. Like your own mind is programmed currently in such a way that is preventing you from reaching your own full potential. That is the programming, and it's not a conspiracy. It's a need of a society to curb down the potential elements from going rogue and messing up the whole society. And it's a power that few people possess because most of us are asleep. And in order to wake up, it requires a lot of work. And there is a pain associated with this work. The pain where you are giving up on your weak self, when you're transcending to your higher self. That, my friends, is a transition from sleep to awakened status, where you can truly experience your own glory. You can bask in your own light because you can see inside who you truly are. And that is something that requires a lot of bravery because you need to detach your feelings from the feelings of the herd. And herd is not necessarily bad, is not necessarily evil, but it is preventing you from living your own true alignment with yourself, where you can detach, where you can detach from the time money barrier, where you do not have to be a slave to the society anymore, because the society is solely responsible for connecting you with your own needs. And you do not know how, except from how you've been taught to connect with the society. So, in order for you to experience the life that people can't experience, you have to reach the level of awareness that most of the people do not have. And going that deep into expanding your awareness, it means that you need to become a very competent individual, that your capabilities are spanning across different capacities, that you know how to speak, that you know how to write, that you know how to connect and emulate your true self in unison with the people around you, and that you can provide value to them so that you can detach yourself from the equation of labor. And that, for many, is an impossibility. People do not believe that it's possible, and when someone says that it is possible, they want to throw stones at them, because this person is daring to say that something that I don't believe is possible, therefore he must be an evil person, when that is furthest from the truth. That, my friends, is the mentality of herd trying to smother the individual that's trying to rise above. They're trying to pull it back down. Do not deviate from the herd. It takes a lot of bravery, but it takes even more of the skill. You need to skill up if you want to reach this higher level and to transcend the limiting identities and reaching the infinite identity, your own identity, where you're not stifled, where you're not held down, where you do things that you authentically want to really do. That is the transcendence that you are seeking. That is the path of the enlightened individual. That is the only path that you can take in this digital renaissance and reaching this digital enlightenment, by accepting the fact that you can actually do it. So these identities have been shaping the source code that runs your mind. It is your job to reprogram yourself, to believe in yourself, and to aspire for higher greatness. It is solely your responsibility to do so. But in doing so, you will find that there's a lot of distractions, and it will require a lot of self-discipline, not in the actions as much as in the thinking process. And the way that your mind has been programmed will always try to reassert itself back, and you will constantly have to entangle this way of thinking until you reach full confidence that you do not need old ways of thinking. And by the time you reach the escape velocity, by the time you escape the clutches of the system that's forcing you to be who you are not, that you're not living in your true alignment with your true self, at this moment, you will start to realize how many of the things are designed to capture your attention. How many of these things are designed to curtail you from your one true path. And I want you to think about the metaphor of the lady in the red dress from the movie Matrix, where the Neo is inside of the Matrix, and the lady in the New York streets or whatever city in that movie is passing by him, and he's like taking a turn to look at her. She's wearing a red bright dress in the sea of black and gray. And in this moment, you have to realize Neo is seeing the figment of the imagination or the creation of the architect of the Matrix. The one thing that Matrix accomplished as a movie was to instill in your mind that you need to stop yourself in the tracks and stop being distracted from the things inside of the Matrix, and that you need to escape it by following the white rabbit. That you need to get away from the Matrix. There is no escaping the Matrix. That is the hard, somber truth. You cannot escape it. You cannot escape the Matrix. But if you're escaping something, it means it's something that you don't want to be a part of, something that is bad for you. But the truth is, you want to build it. You don't want to be running away. You don't want to be taking red pills, blue pills, purple pills. You don't want to be taking pills, period. You want to build something that will provide you a life that you really want to live, a life that you don't want to escape from. That is the life that is worth living. That, my friends, is that level of transcendence, the escape velocity that so many think about but cannot achieve because they haven't reached the level of awareness where that is a possibility. There is no level of belief that it is possible. Therefore, it never becomes possible because the person thinking about it is not believing that it's true. And that's something that gets rewired when you change the social circle around you and you surround yourself with the believers, with people that are winners, that do not doubt themselves, that always find a way how to rise to the top. So I hope you enjoyed unwiring your own source code from the identities that hold you down, and from having an idea of my mental headspace in one of the last videos that I'm doing, like off the cusp, just dropping them raw. Because as soon as the next one comes, I'm looking forward to having a better video production, more editing, but this is the very last one that has been done in this format. Thanks for stopping by and watching, and if you like this, hit like, subscribe, and comment. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.